Wow, all right. That was so awesome. I want to thank you, Kevin and Don. And I know, and the texts, I know they had to all come together without a musician and everything. That was very special. Thank you very much. You almost caught me by surprise.
You ruined it.
I know.
I tried to catch you by surprise.
I know it. But what happened on Thursday night, I was trying to, coordinate with the music. And all of a sudden they kept, we don't know. And we don't know. And I said, well, what do you mean you don't know? I think Don is, Kevin is doing something. I go, Kevin? I go, I remember he was quizzing me on the title. All right. So thank you very much.
Inquiring mind.
Exactly. Good morning.
Good morning.
We are the Alaska Center for
Spiritual Living.
All right, and you have now entered the healing zone. Okay? We're going to talk today about how do you heal a broken heart. Okay? Now, I don't know about you, but I've experienced a broken heart. And we're going to talk today about how to heal, how to mend a broken heart. And and this is really a deep topic, okay? And I also want to honor, as we talk about this today, I want to honor the fact that some of you may be going through a broken heart experience at this very moment in time. And so we don't want to make light of that, because we only have like about 20 minutes to talk about how do we mend and how do we heal a broken heart. But we do want to remind you that here at the Alaska Center of Spiritual Living, in our philosophy of science of mind, we believe in science. We believe that the gift of medical technology and psychological therapy is a gift of God. And so whatever we need to assist us in healing ourselves and revealing the truth of our experiences, we are highly encouraged to utilize that. And remember spirit. Because here at the Alaska Center for Spiritual Living, we practice an affirmative prayer technique that we call spiritual mind treatment. And that means that we believe that there is an infinite presence that we call by many names. Some call it God, some call it the Infinite One, Yahweh, Elohim, Allah, or simply love. And we believe because this presence is infinite and there cannot be any other, then consequently we must be a part of it. And we believe that because we are a part of it, that we consciously can tap into this infinite presence, this infinite power, and lean into it and call forth good for ourselves and all that concerns us and whom concerns us. So welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living. All right, so let's talk about how do we mend a broken heart. But first of all, let's talk about what is a broken heart. Now, this is a big topic. As you know, throughout the history of mankind, we've been trying to figure out how to heal our life circumstances. And according to the book of the Bee Gees, okay. And we're going to read the book of the Bee Gees. And as Kevin knows, I grew up, it was expressed by who is actually a reverend today, Reverend Al Green. Yeah. All right. Well, we're going to read from the book of Bee Gees this morning. And we're going to focus on verses 1 through 4. Okay. All right. Because what happens is that as we mature through life, we can remember, and some of you may be in that beautiful stage of life today, and especially oftentimes for younger men, we go through a life of invincibility. We got it all in control. We know it all. And I do know, I have experienced it personally myself as well as I'm a parent, so I experienced my children, they know it all. All right, and between the age around 14 or so, those young men, boy, those hormones kick in and they got it. All right, and hopefully sometime they survive that, though their brains come back, the aliens bring them back, okay? So I remember the younger days. I remember the younger days when living for life was everything a man or person could want to do, but I could never see tomorrow. Isn't that true for most of us? at certain stages of life, we're so full of vigor, and sometimes, however, we're so full of pain until we cannot see tomorrow. Because I was never told about the sorrow. Now, one thing we've been accused of doing here at the Alaska Center for Spiritual Living, and part of the New Thought philosophy, is what they call spiritual bypassing. Which means oftentimes we are so convinced we know about how to overcome a lot of our life challenges that we don't pause to talk about the sorrow. Okay? So today we're going to acknowledge, yes, life is infinite. And part of being an infinite life is the sorrows, the strains, and the pains. Okay? And so, but the question is, and this is a really beautiful part to be at, human intellect, we can say, but how can I mend this broken heart? So that's a question. And we do know a question is really a prayer. Because a question, when I ask a question, that means I have a possibility there may be an answer. Okay? But we do know that this thing is so profound, it is though trying to mend a broken heart, especially when in the middle of it, you may as well ask me, how can you stop the snow from falling? Okay? Still waiting, there's little daddy jokes there. Okay? Okay? And how can you stop the sun from shining? What makes the world go round? We might as well talk about that in a broken heart, right? And especially when you go through life, and I know myself, I went through a time period when I had spirits, a string of deaths in my family. It's like they would never stop. It's like every 9 to 18 months, someone was passing in my life. Okay? And then my job changed. Then there's medical problems in your household. And then the economy changed without my permission. Okay? And then the company that I was working with for 18 years, and we're having a beautiful time together in my younger days, okay, they decided to pull out of Alaska. Right? How can a loser ever win? Please help me mend my broken heart and let me live again. So let's talk about what are some of the things that we go through in life that we seem to go through these challenges and these pains, and there's sometimes it feels like no matter what we do, even with medical technology, even sometimes with therapy, whatever, it seems not to work, right? Well, I'm going to turn to another great philosopher. This is an age one now, called Mother Goose. Okay. Okay. How many recognize Mother Goose stories? Okay. Even young people do. Okay. Humpty Dumpty sat on a wow. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. And all the king's horses and all the king's men
could put Humpty Dumpty back together again.
How many have experienced life like that? It seemed like everything you tried, you just couldn't put it back together again. Well, matter of fact, that was so profound. Well, I'm going to turn to another icon, another truly a cultural philosopher, a great contribution, and this one was Aretha Franklin. Okay. Because she also sang All the King's Men. And in her stanzas, she said, "We sat on a wall of happiness. We sat on a wall of love. We sat on a wall of security, so high above. With his arms all around me, it was like a fairy tale. Two people so in love. Tell me, how could it fail? The walls started shaking her love right now, happiness giving away, security falling down. He fell, I fell, another is left to tell. As with all the king's horses and all the king's men, couldn't put our two hearts together again." So we have a lot of lure in our culture from the beginning of time about this. Now, it's also really important to realize, do you realize when we go through stress and strains of life, And what is this often caused by? Because someone in the audience helped me with maybe with 3 experiences that might cause us to go into what's called a broken heart, experience a broken heart.
Death.
What's that?
Death of a loved one.
Death of a loved one.
Health issues.
Health issues.
Death of a relationship.
Death of a relationship. Okay, you got it. Okay, and so I turned to another source called Harvard Medical School. Okay, and here are some things they came up with that cause us to experience. It called, as you mentioned, sudden illness, ongoing illnesses, even heart or surgery procedures. The loss of a loved one we already mentioned, a serious accident, could be physical shock, domestic violence, receiving bad news, a car or other accidents, a fierce argument, financial loss, intense fear, public speaking. And this is something I put up on a person recently, a surprise party, right? Or a sudden surprise. Isn't that interesting, right? That's why I know as we got older with our mother, we decided we're not going to give her surprise parties anymore because the last one we gave her we almost had to call 911, right? And I did that to someone recently, okay? And so what actually happens, this is called, we understand that those different stresses can happen to us, and it causes events can happen to us that cause emotional stress. Now notice that on many of these, of course, some of these the events are illnesses and outer events that happen to our body and we go into physical shock. And much of what happens is emotional stress that comes from thought. As we know, and I hope it might be true for many of us right now, we don't may not have any bad news in our life at this moment. But it could be just a phone call away. Now watch this. This is interesting. I've experienced this myself, but I'm assuming many of us have. I could be going on a regular so-called day, high flying, right? And all of a sudden, one phone call, bam, right? The information caused a thought, and according to Harvard Medical School, it then releases chemicals or hormones into your body that actually affects your heart. And I experienced that in my life, and even before I knew this technical information, I really thought I was having a heart attack, right? And they say it's very, very similar to a heart attack. Okay, because your valves and your heart changes, your muscle changes, which the heart is a muscle, and it actually balloons up. And that's why we actually do still feel the physical pain. All right, and therefore, as a note, since we do believe in medical care, when we do have those emotional things that seem to be acute for you, then it may be appropriate to go see your medical doctor and to follow with some type of therapy if that's appropriate for you. And I also turn to another information called Psychology Today. They have some recommendations of also how to deal with it, especially in terms of relationship losses or loss of significant through death or whatever. They said, so they recommend sometimes you might want to feel the loss, okay, and not suppress it. Because there are times we need to lean into our emotion to acknowledge it. They also say, and at some point, however, you need to change the story. Okay? Because don't let the story become the centerpiece of your life. And then, of course, step number 3, something we do hear a lot, they say, remember now, there is no past, there is no future, there's only the present moment. And we have a practice here, we call that meditation or mindfulness, to be in the present. Okay? And they also say, take quiet moments to savor the good things in life. We were talking about that yesterday in centering prayer. Sometimes just sit quietly with a loving cup of tea or coffee, okay, or with nature, with your plants, or whatever that brings you inner peace. But constantly do those things. And then step number 5, they say at some point, you have to take back your time and take back your life. In other words, don't let the experience become the whole centerpiece, and realize that you deserve to live and to love. But getting over a broken heart isn't easy, because we know this was still a challenge. So, now those are what all the great experts say. I also want to share, I have a projector, an overhead projection, that I want to share with you. And I love it when I get titles to give talks. And then I happened to be talking to a coworker in the office, and she was so moved by the topic alone. She says, Kaleem, I have something I want to share with you. So there's an overhead drawing of from her grandson, one of my coworkers' grandson. And her grandson was, at that time, was 11 years old in October 2006. And for some reason, they're having a discussion, and this is some of the things that he shared with her. This is a drawing, very lightly, which you can't necessarily see in the projection. He penciled in a silhouette of a broken heart with cracks in the middle. And then on your left hand, on your left-hand side, he talks about the whole heart. I'm sorry, a broken heart. On the right-hand side, he talked about a repaired heart. And the topic was remember, this 11-year-old child. Operation of heart broken / repair. Operation of heart broken, repair. A broken heart need repairing. A repaired heart shows the whole heart. A broken heart is small and weak. A repaired heart is strong and big. A broken heart is that needs construction. An unbroken heart is a heart already constructed. His last line, a broken heart is not repaired by revenge, but by love, faith, and hope. The wisdom from the mouths of babes. How do I mend a broken heart? So we're here today just to remind us, and also I want to remind you at this moment in time, bring to mind that which you choose to heal. And it's also a good time to, now that we know what the objective is of love, faith, and hope, and couldn't Martha King or Gandhi have told us that? They did tell us that. Couldn't your therapist tell you that? They do tell us that. How do we get there? That's the question. How do we get there? Well, I'm going to suggest to you that it is through the power of love. How do we get there? Well, in the song, in the 4th stanza, right after it says, "And let me live again," there was a little quiet voice in there. It says, "I can still feel the breeze that rustles through the trees." In the middle of your greatest life challenges, there's that breeze that rustles through the trees of our lives. We often call that small, soft voice. Or we often call it in the darkness of a light that North Star. Here's what spiritual practices does for us. It reminds us to look for the light, to listen for the breeze. The breeze is spirit telling you there's hope. There's a tomorrow in the present moment, in the middle of it all. So I want to encourage us to use our spiritual practices as a way of preventing broken heart syndrome, is the medical term, okay? Because if I'm just like if I want to prevent myself from straining a muscle, start exercising, all right? And they say, unlike the old days, Kevin, they say, no gain without pain, okay? Well, I went to a new class at UAA. They said, no, you stretch before, you warm up, you prepare your body to avoid the trauma, and you can have gain without the pain, okay? All right? Okay? So what do we do every day in our spiritual practices? We are breathing, right? We're stretching our minds and our consciousness. We're accepting the fact there is sorrow in life, and I am preparing myself, okay? And I'm stretching myself, and I'm deepening my consciousness. So when that experience comes and it rocks my soul, I can recenter. Okay, and many of you you've heard me giving talks from this very place right here. About 5 years ago, I had one of those experiences. Here I was having a normal day. I got a phone call about one of my children. My life was rocked. And I could not figure out even how to finish getting dressed and take a shower. But fortunately, I had been practicing this thing called centering prayer. Okay, and the first thing I did, I called the emergency room. I called practitioners, okay? And I said, pray for me. And after I called practitioners for prayer, I then got into and did my spiritual meditation. And it was as though somebody gave me a cup of coffee or a good shot of something, and the Spirit lifted me. And I was able to get up from there, it literally knocked me to my knees, the news, all right? And within hours, I was here at the center praying for someone else. Because Spirit lifted me. Why? Because I had done my spiritual practices. I had my emergency preparedness. Got it? Okay. So this is what we do here. Matter of fact, this is what we're going to do here today, right after service. At what time, Christina?
1 o'clock.
At 1 o'clock, okay? It's a spiritual practice that will prepare you. And so therefore, we can savor the good things of life and use what's called spiritual meditation, or whatever meditation, as the classes talk about. Meditation is more than you think. There's different types of meditation, right? But the point is, do it now. Now, what happens as I found myself in the middle of it, and I seemed to be rocked? Call spiritual 911. Okay, all right? And that's when you call someone. It could be a friend or it could be someone else who's ready to give you prayer, instant prayer, because they're not involved in the experience with you, and they can hold the presence and speak the truth of your situation, all right? And you will be lifted. And therefore, we're offering 911 right after service, okay? We call it OMM, OM. What does that stand for? 1 minute miracle, okay? And then you can also, as Christina mentioned, you can call our telephone line in the middle of the day, and we can send out prayer requests. In your program, there's prayer request forms you can fill out, and we'll pray for you all week, all right? And I've already mentioned, of course, and we believe in science, so that if you need to call the 911 emergency line and get to the medical, you do that. And have someone say, and call those practitioners to pray for me, okay, while you're going through that experience. So because we believe that there is a way and there is a light in every situation. We believe that there is sorrow and there is tomorrow. And we believe we can visit that light in the here and the now. So I want to invite you to open your minds and your hearts right now with me. Okay? And as you bring to mind whatever concerns you may have in your life at this time, and I invite you to open your mind and your heart into recognizing there is an infinite presence known by many names. And this morning we simply call it love, infinite wisdom, infinite power, infinite presence. And I choose to speak this word of good. I choose to know that in every situation, there is the possibility of light. I listen to that breeze, and I know there is God. I know there is good. I know there is a way out of no way. I know, and I speak this word for everyone in this place today and all those who concern us. So whether our circumstances or relationships with another individual, may it be a family member or intimate relationship or partnership, or maybe a relationship with our employment situation, a relationship with our health, our body of affairs. Whatever it may be, I speak this word of peace, because the infinite is greater than any particular. The infinite is greater than any particular. and there is light. There is that North Star in the middle of every appearance of chaos. There is order. And yes, there is love, that infinite love that is always glowing, always giving. And I choose to experience that for myself and each member of this place today. Each beautiful presence of God in every seat in this place today. And I know this true for our children and those tending to our children. I know this true for our city, our state, our nation, and our global village called Earth. And I know that the work that we do in this place right here and right now, the very vibrations go out and even helps to alignment with the universe. For there may be beings, other planets that are, and we are now praying for their highest being as well. Oh, there's good going on here because there is God. And for this, I am so thankful. I am so thankful that it is so. And so we simply now release this word in our high intentions into that loving law that is always yesing our highest good. So please join me in affirming. And so it is. Amen. Ashe and Namaste. Peace and blessings. Okay.